Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Page of Swords podcast. This is episode 43, and I'm bringing on Cheryl today. She is a physique pro in the IFBB and got an amazing story that I just can't wait to dive in here. So, Cheryl, how is everything going? How are you doing currently?
Everything's going well. I just finished the show, and I did this about 3 weeks ago. So right now I'm just in my, I hate saying off season, but my progress season. And I'm just trying to think of what I can do better for next season, of course. But I did just come off of, I could say it's my comeback season, because in June of 2020 is when I almost died. And that was the start of something horrific to get back to stage. So I'm looking at it, okay, I have a new life. I have basically a different way I have to train and eat and so forth, and still do what I love. So,
and that's a huge challenge itself, which I commend you for, continuing on after all of that events in 2020 that we'll touch on. Actually, I would like to ask, when did you get into bodybuilding? Because I'm actually referencing the NPC website, and it goes back to 2016. Is that when you started, or?
that was my first show, and it was actually quite interesting. In 2015, I started with a CrossFit group. I had no interest of bodybuilding, whatever. I was just like, I was going through a bad divorce. I want to fix my legs, and, the typical woman, just want to get a little bit better. I'm in my late 40s, and everyone out there who's in that age group, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So the lady there, and we're still really good friends, and she still has the business. She competed at the time. And so she convinced me to compete. And she's bikini, beautiful woman, won tons of trophies and stuff. And she's like, well, you got to go on stage. And I go, there's no way I could take this body, show my butt on stage. So how about if I do figures so I don't have to stick my ugly butt out to people? And she just laughed and so forth. So we did finally the first show in 2016. And she really wasn't my coach. She was just somebody who helped me get back to health with her foods and programs and all that. But she didn't, like, as we know of, a contest prep. We didn't do any of that. It was just go on stage, have some fun. Well, today I'm like, how stupid was I? But back then I was all excited. So all of a sudden people are like, you have to do this water manipulation and all these other things. And I'm like, why? I'm just going to step on stage. So I'm the only girl backstage eating, drinking, and that's not what you do. And I'm just having a good old time. I have no clue what I'm doing. So ironically, I got third in novice in figure. I was like shocked. I'm like, everything that could have went wrong that weekend went wrong. Had some personal problems to deal with. When they tanned me, I had this line in my butt. So if you look at my back pictures on NBC, you will see this line. And I got touched up right before I was walking up the stairs. So don't ask me what happened, okay? 1,000,001 things went wrong, but somehow I got third in novice, and I was excited. And after that, I'm like, I love this sport.
Yeah.
And everyone who looks at what I went through on that stage, they're like, how can you still love this sport after all the bad things that happened? I go, well, look at all the good things. I made so many friends. I got the confidence to walk on stage, which I never thought I could. And I brought home a trophy. That was even greater, But it wasn't about the trophy. It was just about getting on stage, because a good friend of mine who was a bikini competitor said, you got to go on stage with me. It's my first time. I'm nervous. And when I make a promise, I make a promise. And so I said, I'm going to do this. Then the next year I decided, you really should do it the right way. So then I got like a prep coach and, and learned what you're supposed to do and so on. But that's when it started. And I just loved that show, everything about it. One day I may do it again. But unfortunately they took out women's physique in Europa.
Oh, yeah. I see that. It was the Europa in Orlando. I hope you don't mind me sharing these photos, but
not at all.
You look fantastic for your first show. Really, you've got some good delts and everything.
I was really shocked because the year before that, I could hardly do cardio. My health wasn't the best. I've had my chronic illness since I was 19, so I was always battling that.
Mhm.
Um, but in the early, let's say around 2010, 2011, something got in me. I can't really answer it, but something clicked inside me that said, Cheryl, you got to start making some changes.
Mhm.
And over the years, I started making changes. I started focusing on me more. Um, and that's where I got to the place that I am today. Now, some people may say, well, Cheryl, your health is taking a turn for the worst. And I'm like, well, I'm still alive. So to me, I'm winning at life, because I think if the average person had my disease and didn't do the things that I do to stay relatively healthy and mobile and so forth, they'd probably be in a wheelchair, even dead by now. This is a very horrific disease. I can't tell you the people that I talk to and the things that they go through. So when I go to a doctor's office and I walk in with my, let's say my jug of water, I got the muscles, and I'm going in, for a checkup and stuff, everyone looks at me like, you're in the wrong place. And I'm like, no, I'm not. It's just a different mindset, because all the people that I go around me, they're sickly. I just don't want to go into it. It's just not a good scene.
No, and it's not, and
Yeah.
it's something good to preach, because at the end of the day, a lot of it is going to be nutrition and just being active to keep
Yes.
everything aligned. And some people have a hard time just starting it, where it sounds like you never gave up, you kept the momentum, you just kept at it.
Exactly, because I mean, there's days where I couldn't get out of bed. I'd end up in the emergency room. Those were very common things for me. When my kids were growing up, they were like, "Oh, yay, ambulance trip," and they'd be excited. And I know that seems weird, but I always taught my kids, don't be scared of this. Okay, let's laugh. Because that's what gets you through life's issues and so forth. So they knew something was serious with mom, but they knew she would be okay. So that's why they would always have, yay, we're going to the emergency room. So we just make it more fun. I'd go through whatever I had to go through, and then I'd come home. Then I'd go back to work, taking care of the kids. And then I tried to work out. I try to eat healthy. But for many years, what was considered, sorry, the air quotes, healthy was eating 1,500 calories a day, and as long as you got your main food groups in, you were healthy. Well, we all know that's BS, okay? But for many years, I believe that, because that's what society and everybody is telling you. So it took many years for me to realize, okay, Cheryl, you're eating this, even though they say it's healthy, you're not feeling good. So what can you do differently? And it took a long time to get to the point where I am now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard you talk about your daughter before, but do you have one other kid, or?
I have a son. My daughter's going to be 21 this month. She's actually a Christmas Eve baby.
Mm-hmm.
And my son is 22. So they're about 19 months apart. So I'm very close with my kids. My son actually just moved back in with me with his future wife. So that's been interesting to have a little bit more people in the house, but he's a really good kid. He's studying engineering while he's a chef, and he's great at both of them. Like, he comes home and he goes, I want chicken. So to me, I'll throw a piece of chicken, in the oven, whatever, come back. And he's like, no, you got to dice it. You got to do this, do this. And when it comes out, it looks like it's in a restaurant. And I'm like, wow, that looks great, but that's a lot of work. And he goes, I love that. And then I'm like, bless you, because I could not do that. I'm just not a cook at all. But
Oh,
he's really great at it.
yeah, he's artistry with his food, and your artistry with your body. I love it. It's a lot of creative family.
Yeah. So, so anyway, going back to 2016, after that, I still wanted to compete again. I really loved it. So what I did is in 2017, I got myself a coach, and I said, okay, I'm going to do this the right way, and so on and so forth. My life has been a series of events. Okay. So the next event that happened was, I'm in prep. We're about 3 months in, and I had this lump on my chest, and I had it for 2 years, and it was ugly. I had the mammograms, ultrasounds, everything for 2 years, and always came back negative. So I decided to go to a specialist to say, listen, you need to remove this. It's disgusting. When I go on stage and I lean out, you see it. I'm like, I want this gone. And I did it because I didn't want to pay for it. You know, insurance would take care of it if it's a medical thing. And she looks at me, she goes, no, you got to get that taken out. That's cancerous, blah, blah, blah. I go, lady, how do you know it's cancerous just by looking at it? She goes, I'm an expert. I know what I'm talking about. I said, listen, I said, I'm in prep. There's no way in hell I'm stopping prep because you assume it's cancer, you know. Worst words I ever said in my life. She goes, let me do a biopsy. I said, sure, do your biopsy. So the next Monday, I'm supposed to have an appointment. And I call them up. I go, listen, I'm going to cancel my appointment, blah, blah, blah. It's a long drive. It's like an hour away. And they come back on the phone. And they go, doctor must see you ASAP. Well, I'm like, duh, must have cancer. And I unfortunately ended up having cancer. And it was the worst breast cancer there is. It's triple negative breast cancer. And the reason why it's the worst one is all the receptors are negative. So there is not a standard treatment plan. Every doctor does a Hail Mary. They try to figure out what to do, but no doctor is consistent in the plan that's going to happen. So from March all the way to July, I battled that. And I got the surgeries to remove the tumor from my breast. They had to do 2 surgeries, but I decided against radiation and chemo. And that's a long story in itself. But once I made that decision, I think it was sometime in July. It was actually the night before I was supposed to have my first chemo treatment. And I've been through a lot of doctors, went through a lot of things, but if you believe in something greater than us, that happened that night. Because I went to the gym as I always did, and it was more for mental at that point. I mean, I could work out and stuff, but my mind's like, girl, you're going through chemo, you're going to go through a lot of stuff. So a girlfriend of mine goes, Cheryl, you got to talk to this friend of mine. She's been through cancer. Her whole family's been through cancer, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, fine, I'll talk to her. So I'm on the phone. She's telling me about everything she's went through. And I'm grateful for the story. But in my head, I'm like, I really don't want to listen to this because I'm going to go through this. You know, this is not helping. So almost to the end of the conversation, she's my age. So then she starts screaming, Ma! And the lady's like 80, whatever years old. And, you know, they're screaming back and forth. And she's like, Ma, what kind of breast cancer did you have? She goes, triple negative. And that's rare. So I'm like, all right, now I'm listening. And she goes, I had triple negative. So they're like, what did the doctor tell you? Oh, the doctor said it's localized. So we just get monitored and I'm good. So she goes, you never had chemo, Mom, right? And she goes, no, never had chemo. And that nailed it with all the research that I've done. It wasn't just because she said that, but all the research that I did, my gut said, I don't need this stuff. So that night I said, nope, not going to do it. So of course I didn't go to chemo. I called my coach the next day and I said, we're prepping for a show. And she's like, what? And I said, listen, I said, we missed nationals. I missed my pro card, but let me just get back on that stage. No matter what I look like, let's just do it. And I ended up doing 2 shows, one in October, one in November. The last one was All South. And it was great. I got a few second and third, 4th places and all that, some in open, some in masters. But it was such a great feeling because I've been through hell and I survived and I got back on that stage. But girl, it's not about the trophy. It's about winning at life. That's what people don't realize. Is that you got to have a goal to win at life, no matter what it is. And that's what I did.
Yeah, and you look fantastic. What show is this I'm looking at right here? This is the Southeastern USA Championships.
Oh, that's Chris Eady's.
Okay, yeah.
That was the first one I did.
Okay, yeah, that looks really good. Let me share real quick just for everybody here.
Yeah.
And I love your hair here. I can't remember if it was shortened, I think, in the first one, maybe. You got nice.
No, I think it was just a little bit different color, maybe off or whatever, but I've generally kept it the same length until recently, because after my surgery, about 4 months later, I lost about 75% of my hair. I was almost bald. So my hair is just growing back. So
Okay.
I'm not used to it this short. It's bothering me, but it'll get there. It'll come back. It'll get back.
Well, it looks healthy and everything from what I see. Yeah.
Oh, it really does. It's funny because like you see these pieces,
Mhm.
that's new growth.
Okay.
Those were not there before. So it's like it just wants to keep going out and you're like, stay down, kind of thing. So, it's getting there. But in the beginning, like when it happened, I had a few long pieces and most of it was short and it was like really thin through here. And unfortunately, a lot of people on social media were mean because when I would like post pictures, they would make comments of the mullet and you look like a dude, and all that. And I believe in the most part, I mean, yeah, I've done a few filters here and there, but for the most part, I believe in keeping it real. And so I felt that was part of my journey. But yeah, I had some real, I won't say haters, but just really negative comments in it. And it stings, but it is part of life. I'm not saying it's the greatest part, but I've had a bunch of that and that sucks. So when I go on stage or when I like go in life, and now because I got the ostomy and I showed the bag, I'm loud and proud and I don't give a damn what you think. And if you want to say something, go ahead and say it, but I know I'm winning at life. You're not. And that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, and that's what I love, that because I tell people all the time, even just everyday people, get up on stage and do it for you and have fun. At the end of the day, get some nice photos,
Exactly.
take the experience, make the friends, like you said. That's like one of the best
Yes.
part is making
Oh,
friends,
yes, it is.
connections. You never know who you'll see or maybe even help out, because as much as social media has haters, you know,
Exactly.
for every hater, you'll probably make 3 internet friends or something.
What I think is cool is like, I don't see myself as like a big influencer, but others do. Like I go to the shows and stuff and people come up to me. I've been following you so long. I love when you did this, this, and this. And it just touches my heart because I don't have any social media writers or, those kind of things. I just post and that's it. And for it to get out there like that, that's pretty impressive to me that my story is touching that many people.
It sure did touch me. I found you through Stephanie Fletcher's Instagram when you guys did an IG live that one time.
Right. Yes.
And I've actually listened to it twice because I just thought it was so inspiring. I was like, I really wanted to have you on the show. And, after your recent show, I thought this was the perfect time. And honestly, I
Oh,
was
yeah.
like, I'm a big fan of your coach too. And he gave you some praise. And I'm like, oh man, he's getting popular and everyone's going to want to get a interview with you soon.
Yeah.
I love that very much. And then you've got a pretty extensive show history because, 2018, I see you did several shows with Masters and the Southeast show. And you just did a lot of classes, right?
Yes. And then that was the year I also earned my pro card.
Okay. Yes. And that was Pittsburgh, correct?
That was Pittsburgh, and I won it in over 50 and over 45.
Okay. It felt good. How'd you like being here in Pittsburgh since that's where I'm at?
No, I'm originally from New Jersey, so I've been to Pittsburgh many times. So I miss the north. I just don't miss the cold.
No.
I don't miss the snow. That's the one thing. It's like here, you get up in the morning, you start your car and you go. Up north, you got to warm it up. You got to take time. There's a lot of roadblocks when the weather's not good. We're here, unless there's a hurricane outside, it's pretty much good all the time. So I like that about here. You don't think about that stuff.
No, for sure. And I wanted to ask too, were you with the same coach this entire, like I know who you're with now, but were you with the same coach previously when you got your pro card?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was with the same coach then, all the way through, what was it, June of last year.
Okay. Yeah. Now, was that, don't mind me asking, was that just a personal decision to just move on and try something new?
Well, let's just say no, it wasn't something of that nature and just move on.
Sure.
Yeah.
And but when you got your pro card,
Yeah.
how did that feel? Like, you know, with everything you've been through, I'm sure it was very emotional. I mean,
It felt very good.
mhm,
Um, it's hard to say in words. Um, my coach, one of my coaches, Ferlin at the time, I'll say a name. I don't like name dropping, but this one I will.
okay.
He's like, "Did you cry?" And I'm like, "No." And he's like, everyone cries usually. And it was just something not in me to cry when I got it. I was excited. I think the main reason why I didn't cry was just so overwhelming. It was so quick. The way they do Pittsburgh, you're just running around. You know, there's no time to relax. And girl, I did 6 classes. I said to myself, I'm not coming home empty-handed. I want my pro card. And the
Yeah.
ironic part about it was I was always figure.
Mhm.
So when I started prep, I was still figure. And then about a couple of weeks after we started prep, I went to my coach and I said, listen, I want to try women's physique. Now I'm sure she was like, what? And I'm like, yeah, let's try women's physique. Let's see how it goes. So I remember my first check-in pictures. Okay, I had to do figure and I had to do physique. So I did my figure and you got the heels. So then I went right into my women's physique pictures. And I forgot I still had the heels on. I still have those pictures to today. And I have my heels on when I'm doing women's physique. So I just love those moments because they're just like, you know, milestones, you know, in the journey. So ironically, what happened was they did women's physique first. So they did 60, then 50, you know, and down the line. So here it comes over 50, okay? I go on stage. Now we're doing 40 over 45. I have to literally run around and get back in line. There is no breaks. I do 45, I do 40, and I do 35, okay? So now I'm huffing and puffing. Now, women's figure. So they have 60. So I had maybe a minute break. And so then they do 50. Now I got to get back. By the time I got to figure, I was so tired, I didn't care. I really did not care. And I'm not saying I was unappreciative. I was just worn out at that point. But something in me said that I already got my pro card in physique because over 50, there was only 4 of us. But I had the inclination, I got it. But in over 45, there was, I can't remember how many were, but in the first call outs, there were 7 of us, and I was dead center.
Mhm.
So walking off that stage, I'm like, I got this, you know? And I had a whole bunch of people like congratulating me, you know, like, oh, this is exciting, but I better calm down because you never know, they could, you know, change your places. So I was pretty comfortable with that. So when I didn't do as well in figure, the goal was to get a pro card. So I got it in women's physique, never did it before, and I was just elated by that.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah, and you know what I wanted to say too, I know how Pittsburgh is, it is so quick. So with the physique and then you kind of knew that you wanted to try it, how did you feel about the routine round? Because obviously with figure, like I do it, so I know it's just, you don't have to worry about those routines. So what went through your
I
mind
was
to do?
I was nervous because I'm not a very like coordinated person. I go like, oh my goodness, I got to do this. But I had a good routine down. Me and my coach worked on some things, and I got with some other people, and a good friend of mine helped me out. So when I got to Pittsburgh, I felt really comfortable in my routine. And what was funny with the routine is I'm doing it, and then and there was a part where I turn around, you know, show the back, right?
Mhm.
All of a sudden my earring comes out. Doesn't fall down yet, but it comes out. I just kept going, and I literally took my hand and I took the earring, and part of my French, I went, fuck, and I threw it down and I kept going. So I finished up, picked it up, go off the stage. As soon as I went off the stage, all the girls were like, fuck, fuck. And it was just like the happiest moment because we just had a good time of me messing up. No one knew I messed up from the audience, you know, but from the back, they all saw it fall out. I'm like, you know, but that's, you know, the way it goes. And then also another little thing was my suit was not big enough for my top.
Oh,
The suit maker made it a little too small. So I go on stage and I come off, and the guy always say, put your boob back in, put your boob back in. And I'm like, dude, I'm trying. And I'm a trooper. I keep going. That's just me. So yeah, on some of these you'll see a little bit of extra boobage. And like I said, the suit maker just didn't make it big enough for me. And I was actually a little bit smaller back then, because with the going through cancer, you know, I had to, you know, get some reconstructive surgery, just like on a side note. So when we went to the permanent reconstruction, I said, I'd like to go a little bit bigger, but I'd like my lats to show, you know, because I'm a competitor. Well, when I woke up, wow, they were a lot bigger. And I said, dude, what did you do? And he goes, well, I want you to make an impression. And I said, that's way too much impression. So eventually when the elective surgeries come back into play, I can get all of that fixed up and stuff through insurance. But right now, because of COVID, they're still limiting a lot of that kind of stuff. And mine is not a medical necessity at the moment. It's just more of an inconvenience.
And that's definitely like a thing. I mean, I don't have them yet, but I always worry about that too, or the lats getting hidden, because I'm always like, they look nice, but I am just so worried I would get it. And then, like, you know, I guess you just got to grow more, grow more lats.
Well, the thing is as you get older, you know, gravity, let's make, you know, understand gravity, you know, it's going to hit you, you know, and any surgeon, they're not miracle workers, you know, they'll stay up for a little bit, and then they're just going to, you know how it goes. So it's just one of those things.
So you get your pro card, and then you call it a year. So you do go into 2019 though. So that was your first year.
Right, first pro. Yeah, that was my first pro shot. I did Power and Grace. That was in North Carolina in April of that year. And then I did Atlantic Coast in 2019. I think that was June.
How was that first year? How did you feel going into it? I'm sure it's like a completely different ball game. What was your mindset?
It was totally different. I enjoyed it. I met a lot of friends, and I was grateful for that. I was just a little bit down on myself because I felt like I could have done a little bit better. But I don't know if that's just the competitor in me. Like most people are like, man, I could have done so much better, you know, kind of thing. But I loved it. You know, both shows were really well run. I just can't say enough. I loved both shows. I met so many nice people that I still, you know, talk to today. And that's what I got out of it. So I was so excited about that. And then I got to see the areas that I needed to improve on, which was what we were aiming for in 2020, until unfortunately, you know, we'll just say the accident happened, just call it that. So I was happy. You know, it was a good year to get my feet wet. You know, everybody doesn't get first place, you know, and things like that in their first pro year. So it's a tough thing to swallow when you think it's going to happen. But it's definitely a different mindset. I do like it because you're treated as a pro. You know, there's a different level of expectation, and I really like the way the shows are run at the pro level. So liked it a lot, and that's why I was aiming for Atlantic Coast again in 2020, when unfortunately this happened.
Well, for the 2019 shows, were those like the shows that you knew you wanted to do? Like when you were picking shows, like did you like prep for those shows in 2019?
Well, my coach at the time wanted me just to do masters. She was like, don't do open, just do masters. So I listened to the advice, and, you know, it worked out okay, but now I'd like to try open, and that's what I did this year.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that you went with your gut and said, I'm going to do what I want to do. I mean, you're there. It's just like all the other shows you did. You were doing multiple classes. You're at the pro show. You belong up there. So
exactly.
I understand. So 2019 is over. We go into 2020, and go ahead and share girl, like, because I know
I'm gonna do as best as I can without like blowing up everyone's feed. So if I go off on a tangent, let me know. You know, sometimes I could do that. But basically, you know, 2019 ends, of course. You know, we take a break, and you know the typical stuff. And then we're like, okay, we got to build you up. So we go through that process. And then I think it was February of 2020 was, all right, let's do pre-prep and then go into prep. And I'm like, all right, we're good. Okay. So it was about, I think, a week or two into prep. And I'm sorry to get disgusting here. And I got my little puppy, if you see a head pop up. All of a sudden, for 5 days straight, I bled rectally. I'm sorry to admit it, but I bled rectally for 5 days straight. Talking to my coach, and she's like, "Do you feel any pain or whatever?" I said, "No, I feel nothing, but it's just gushing out of me like crazy." So all of a sudden, it just stopped like that. Weird, just stopped. So we're like, "Hey, you don't hurt, nothing's going on. Let's continue." And you know me, I'm like, let's go. So I go. Well, unfortunately, what happened was at that point, my blood levels had plummeted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when I went to the hospital about a week later, my numbers were 6.5, I believe. Mm-hmm. And that's extremely low. So my numbers plummeted. And then I went to the doctor. At that point, I'm like, I'm tired and all that. They scoped me. They can't find anything. But then they do another test and they're like, you're not looking good. And I go, I know I'm not looking good. I got pink in the eyes. So they rush me in the emergency room and they do, a blood transfusion. Mm-hmm. And raises my numbers up to about an 8 or so. I'm feeling better. I'm walking around. They look inside. They say, we can't find anything that's causing this. I'm like, I don't know. I don't hurt. The only thing that happened was my blood levels went down. So they bring him back up. I'm feeling good. Let's go. Then while I'm in the hospital, COVID hits. Okay, everything starts closing. I remember being in the hospital. I'm seeing, the COVID stuff, and I'm texting my kids, get to the friggin' store now, buy everything you can, because we ain't going to be finding food. And that's what they did. They listened to me for those few days. And when I came back, everything was closed. It was just, you experienced it. It was just, a bad time. So the gyms for us were closed from March till May.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, for us.
Mm-hmm.
I was blessed because I've been at my job for 24 years. And all those years right below me is a gym. It's a small gym, but it's got a Smith machine, lat pull down, never used it. Well, you damn sure straight, I used it every day, there. So after work, I'd go downstairs, work out for a few hours, so I'd keep everything going. It was great. No problems. I was just tired, but that was it. So May hits, get back to the gym. June hits, still at the gym. And then on June 18th, I remember being at the office and it was leg day. I love leg day. You tell me it's leg day and I'm a little kid at the office like, come on, is it time yet? Let's go. It's leg day. And, but I remember I just wasn't feeling good. Something wasn't right. And for me to say, I'm going to go home and rest, there was something going on. So went home, rested, and something just didn't feel right. I wasn't in pain yet, but something did not feel right. So then all of a sudden, I got this real bad pain in my abs. Probably went to a 3 or a 4. Texted my coach. She's like, you're probably dehydrated. Just drink a bunch of water, get some rest, blah, blah, blah. So I did that, but it just got worse and worse. And the more water I drank, the worse it got. So at some point, I ended up passing out. I didn't sleep. I passed out. And then I got up, and then it was like a 7 or an 8 to the pain level. And I was just like screaming. So I texted my coach and said, exactly, I'm the wimp, but I need care. So I screamed to my daughter, who basically weighs 100 pounds, has no muscle mass whatsoever. And I'm saying, you got to get me to the car. And here I am, 155 pounds of mass. And so she had to drag me. I mean, there was no one else in the house. So we end up finally getting to the hospital, and the hospital people came out and they got me, into a gurney and into a room. The only thing that I remember is when I got into the room, I was in severe pain, and I said, give me an NG tube. And for those that don't know what an NG tube, it's literally a tube that goes up your nose and goes into your stomach to relieve the contents. Now, I knew that it was not going to solve the issue, but maybe give me a momentary relief until they could figure out what's going on, give me some pain meds or whatever, because in the ER room, they don't give you pain medicine or heavy pain medicine. And with intestinal issues, unless you have heavy drugs, it does not take the pain away. I've been through this for 30 years. I know the deal. It just doesn't take the pain away. That's all I remember. And then the next thing I remember is waking up. They told me it was about a week later after 3 emergency surgeries. And all I remember is waking up, everything was gray. I couldn't see color. When I closed my eyes, everything was gray. And when I looked around, it seemed like ants were going up and down. It was like the really strange thing. And it looked like the walls were padded. Now, of course, when I got my eyesight and everything back, that wasn't the case, but that's what I saw. And I remember overhearing a lady saying, "Oh, poor thing, she's probably not going to make it through the night." And she was probably right, because what I was experiencing wasn't normal. My body couldn't interpret things, and that was because I was getting ready to go. And I remember they put the phone on my chest. And I don't know how soon after I woke up, I did not know I had the surgeries. I didn't even know I had an ileostomy. I didn't know anything that was wrong with me, but I could hardly talk. I couldn't move or anything like that. But I remember the phone was on my chest, and I started going like this. I remember picking up the phone, but my eyesight was so bad I couldn't see it. So I put it back on my chest and I started touching it. And I was able to call two people. One was my coach and one was my daughter. And I remember talking to my daughter, and she was starting to console me because she knew what was going on. I didn't. And she's like, "Mom, I love you. You're going to get through this. I'm here for you," all that kind of stuff. And I remember immediately saying, "Honey, I don't know what's wrong with me." I said, "But I'm going to get out of this hospital. I'm going to walk. I'm going to do everything that I did, and I'm going to get back on that stage. Do not cry. I am going to live." And she's like, "Mom," but and you could tell that she wanted to tell me more. And I was like, "I don't want to hear anything else. I'm going to make it. So let's focus on that." And it was such a heartfelt moment. And one of the reasons why I love sharing that moment is it happened at a time where I thought, they thought I was dying. I mean, they didn't think I was going to live. And those were my words. Exactly. And think about it. A lot of people talk about mindset. They go, "I compel you. I urge you to do this, this, and this." While they're healthy, they've never been through anything, blah, blah, blah. But you don't know what the truth is or how you're going to act until you get to that point. I believe in this sport. I believe in eating healthy. I believe in all the disciplines that come with this sport so much that on my deathbed, or was supposed to be in my deathbed, that's what I'm focused on. I know that I can do this. And it amazed me. I mean, at the time, I didn't think about it because I'm in a battle mode, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't even know I have an ileostomy at this point, but I know I'm fighting something. So I'm like, "Cheryl, you got to stay calm. You can do this," kind of thing. So about a week went by, and my vitals started going up. My eyesight, all the things started coming back, and then they explained what happened, and that I have a permanent ileostomy, for life, kind of thing. And most people would get depressed at that point. And I'm not saying I was like, "Yes, I got one. This is awesome." But what I chose not to do was think about it negative. I'm like, "Okay, I've got this. Let me learn about it. And what am I going to do?" So one of the funniest things I could say this in the beginning of the story was when they moved me to a private room. they said, okay, we're going to help you eat now, because now most people have small intestines are 22 feet and your large intestines is 2.5 feet. And I won't go into all the science, but there's so much to your intestines. It's amazing. I have 9 feet of small intestine left, which means my food only lasts me maybe 10 minutes in my system. There's not much absorption time. And your colon is responsible for all your energy, like your B vitamins and all that. That's out the window. So I'm always going to be chronically tired. Coffee, caffeine, from an energy standpoint, does nothing for me, because there's nothing in my body to process it. It's gone. So I'm like, okay, Cheryl, you've got to eat better. But you're in a hospital, it's COVID, and I couldn't have visitors. So I'm laying in a bed in pain, can't move, relying on everyone else, but there's no one coming to help me because they're short staffed, it's COVID, all these cases are coming through, and it's like I'm near death in a disaster situation, you know, and I'm like, how the heck do I get through this? So I text my daughter and I said, listen, I need you to get me protein powder and protein bars ASAP. I know exactly where you're going to go. So I sent her to Kissimmee Muscle, because that's the gym that I go to. Okay. So I had her call John, and John's like, no problem. I got you. I'm going to hook you up or whatever. So they allowed her to drop it off, but she couldn't come see me. So they drop it off and they put it by my bed. So I got this big container of, you know, protein powder, got the bars and everything, because the food they were feeding me was crap. They're feeding me mashed potatoes and meatloaf. I wouldn't give that to a healthy person, no less someone in my condition, you know. So I chose to eat those things versus the hospital food, because I knew every bite that goes in my mouth has to be the most healthiest, nutritious thing, because I'm fighting for my life here. So I remember the doctor coming in, and he looks at the protein powder and he just starts laughing in a good way. Okay. He's like, you inspire me. And I'm looking at him like, what? And he goes, I talked to your family. They told me your story. He goes, there is no reason why you should be here. You should be dead right now. He goes, there's no reason why medically you should be living. He goes, we don't understand how it happened that you're living, because they say about 2% of the people, what happened to me was my intestines twisted. Once they twist, they can't untwist. And that stops the blood flow to a vital organ. And it happens quickly. So as it's twisted, all of those intestines are dying off like that. So that's why they had to take so much out. It was all dying. There's nothing you can do. So 9 feet, to give you some kind of example, when you have 4.5 feet left, you're only going to get liquids for the rest of your life. It's like a chemo port, because I've had the chemo port. They put a hole in your chest, you get an injection, and it's a liquid, and your life expectancy is like 3 to 5 years, because you can't last long on liquid food. So I've got 9 feet of intestine, okay? So hopefully that gives you some kind of understanding of how serious this is. So when he said he was inspired, he's like, first of all, you lived. And he goes, you probably lived because you were in such great condition and you had so much muscle mass. That's what saved you. Because I lost it all. I mean, I was solid, maybe 7 or 8% body fat, 155 pounds. When I walked out of there, I was about 120 pounds. Okay, so that's a significant, and my body fat obviously went high from all of that. And all of that makes sense, but that's probably what saved my life and my determination, of course. So now you get this person who's just been through this, and now she survives. And what's the first thing she does? She focuses on her nutrition. And that's why they were like, oh, hell yeah, she's going to make it now. And that's what I had to keep doing. As weak as I was, my mindset was that strong that it was a no-brainer. I know I'm going to do nutrition. So when someone says to me, oh, I believe in eating clean or whatever, prove it. You know, that's the way I look at it. And if someone says it to me, it's like, well, it's hard for me to eat good because, you know, I've got the kid and I got this and that. I don't have sympathy for you. And everyone's out there who watches this is going to go, oh, she's such a martyr or whatever. No, no, no. I live the damn thing. You know what I'm saying? I believe in this. Now, I know you need your cheat meals and all that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you have to be 100%. But at the end of the day, it's your decision. You could argue with me all day long and say, I have diabetes, I've got this sickness, I got this illness, whatever. And I'm sorry, it really does stink that you've got whatever illness. It stinks that I've got a chronic illness. But at the end of the day, if you eat good, it's going to make it better. And
Now,
that's all we're for, is make your life better.
would you say that food is medicine? Have you heard that
Food
quote
is,
before?
oh, of course, food is medicine, 100%. Food is medicine. Your mindset is medicine. They go hand in hand, and a lot of people don't realize that. It's taken me many years to accept that, and there's days where I still have to focus on it because we're so human, you know, kind of thing. But it is so true. I did a quick story online one time about a lady who was constantly complaining about water. It was at the doctor's office. I know this is the stupidest thing in my book, and I told her in person that, but I'm checking out and I have my jug of water and she's like envious. She's like, man, I could wish I could drink all that water. And I'm thinking, do you have a medical condition or something? You know, because it could be, you know, I mean, maybe bladder issues or whatever. And she's like, well, every morning I get up and I take care of the kids, you know, the usual story. And then she goes, and I got to fill my water up. And then I got to put it in the car. And then I got to bring it in the office. And it's just too much work. So I asked her, I said, do you believe, because I'm laughing inside at this point. I said, do you believe water will make you feel better? She goes, absolutely. And she's listing a whole things, the reasons why. So I said, listen, I want you to go home and in the morning tomorrow, instead of saying, I got to carry it, blah, 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 say, I get to carry that water because it's going to make me feel better. Don't say I have to, say I get to. And she sort of looked at me like weird, like, really? So a month later, had my checkup, and she's like, Cheryl, guess what? I'm drinking my water. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, see, it's just a mindset. If you really want to do something, you spend more time complaining about it and figure out a way to do it. It's simple, you know?
And you need water. I have people that only drink one bottle, and you and I, we have gallons, and I'm just like, but
no.
One bottle, I'd be so thirsty, I'd get a headache.
I don't know how people do it, but then of course, you know, the typical, oh, I drank 10 cans of Diet Coke, so that compensates. And you're like, no, it don't. You know, it's actually worse for you.
Exactly. And plus carbonation. Oh, you cut carbonation out, you'll realize how much that really bloats you up. Like,
I'm telling you, in the beginning when I had my condition, I used to drink a lot of soda. And then I realized over time I had to quit. Same with coffee. It makes my condition really bad. Occasionally I'll still drink it. I'll endure the suffering, but it's only for a moment in time. But if you continuously drink it, then it's just going to be that ongoing. And you don't want that because, you know, inflammation is so bad for the body.
mm-hmm. Oh,
And what's that?
I said, absolutely. I know I recently, after my contest prep, I just continued to just not do it, you know, because at the end of prep, a lot of people cut it. I cut it. And now I'm just like, I really don't need it. Like,
yeah, I mean, I do, like, I go in fluctuations. Like, I'll drink some coffee for a few weeks, then I'll stop. Because I know that if I continue, it's going to get bad.
mm-hmm.
Sometimes, oh, that good cup of coffee in the morning, you know, it's like, it's so satisfying. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, you have to give it up because it's going to do harm. Because if it didn't do harm, you drink it all day long. I mean, that's just, you know,
Exactly.
the way it is.
I'm loving that you talked about how you pretty much bodybuilding did save your life, correct? Because you learned how to diet and like you made it a lifestyle and it like eventually, you know, I guess you could say paid off at the end and really benefited you in the best way. What do you do for work, by the way, if you don't mind me asking? What's your job?
No, not at all. I actually manage a computer shop, which is very stressful. It's a 24/7 shop. I have a staff under me, and we do everything, you know, like servers, networking, you know, just the whole thing. I work for a utility company, so like during the storm season, we're really busy as well. So I love the job. I love the people that I work with.
Mhm.
But I got into fitness maybe 6 years ago. So if I had gotten into fitness earlier, I definitely wouldn't have gone into computers. It's not, but you know, I'm close to retirement and the people that I work with are so great. If I worked for people that I hated, I'd be leaving by now. But everyone has to work, and I couldn't work with a better group of people. They're just wonderful.
I
So that's why I enjoy it.
I relate so much. So I'm a graphic designer, so I work on the computer all day too. And I will tell
Yeah,
you what, as much as I would love to do something more fitness driven or focused, I guess, I
yeah,
kind of feel like our jobs give us like a break, like mentally. Like
yes.
sometimes it is hard to be bodybuilding all day, especially in prep when it's like Groundhog's Day. So I always tell
Oh
people,
yeah,
get a hobby, or for me, it's just nice to have my full-time job where it gets me, I mean, I still got to eat my meals at a certain time, go to the gym, like
yep,
it's like recess, but you know,
yeah.
it's like, no, the job's good. It's good to just kind of have it and have your brain focused on that for at least a little portion of the day.
And what's good about the people that I work with, they're very accepting of the lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
We're very accepting of everybody's lifestyle. So whatever you're into, we have a lot of people that love graphic arts or they love taking photography or whatever. Even though we all do computers, we all have our outside interests, and we all support each other with that. And I don't know, you don't find that in a lot of corporate companies, but in mine you do. And so that's why I'm like, I'll never leave, just because it's not always about the money, it's about the people you work with.
I
Because
can
who wants to go to a job going, oh, I got to talk to him today or her today? That's not what you want.
No, not at all. And like, I know computers is a lot of, you know, sitting around sometimes or whatever, you're sitting longer, but at the end of the day, like, I don't know, that's more energy for us at the gym. Some people are on their feet all day running around, and
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a lot of energy.
Yeah, like during prep and stuff, when I can, I'll be on my computer and I'll keep my feet on my desk because you keep your legs up.
Yeah.
I'll do that on purpose. My boss will come in and goes, oh, you're just lounging around. And I'm like, no, I'm working. See, I'm working. Don't worry about it. But hey, it works, kind of thing. So, and that's why they're so accepting. And I love that. But if it was another like organization, they would seriously think you're effing off. You're not working when you really are. You're just,
Hmm.
casual, whatever. So yeah, I really like what I do. But yeah, I do love the bodybuilding world, and I think nutrition is absolutely number one. I can't stress that enough.
And you never gave up because, you know,
Mhm.
2020 was obviously a very long year, and then you rolled right into 2021. And what was your mindset going into 2021? Like, you said,
Uh,
I'm getting back on stage this year.
well, not exactly at that point, because let me see. I didn't start back into the gym until October, November that year, of end of 2020. But when I did, I was very weak. I could only lift maybe 5 pounds. I could squat with the bar, but that was it. But I could only do it certain ways. So my body was just getting used to movement at that point. So every time I post, it would be my recovery, my recovery. So I think it was March or April. And then all of a sudden, it's like, I keep posting I'm recovering, but what the heck happened? I just fell into like prep mode almost. I mean, we didn't technically start prep, but my body was looking so much better. And I'm like, when did that happen? Because just day in and day out, I'm just struggling to do whatever. And I have to be very careful because I can get a hernia like that. I mean, actually, I do have a small hernia right now. Um, I didn't know this, but everybody with an ostomy has a hernia.
Okay.
It's by design because the circle where the crease is where a hernia is. So you'll always have a small hernia at the top of your circle, 100%. If you don't take care of yourself, it just gets worse and worse.
Mhm. I
So
remember on Stephanie's podcast that you guys did together, you kind of showed that you have like a waist belt that helps with that, correct? Do you still wear that?
I wear several different waist belts because what'll happen is your it's called a stoma, that where the intestines are actually out from, and sometimes that changes shape a little bit, and so I'll use different wraps. But I found this one actually on my table, and if you could see, what is that, about 3 inches instead of, you know, one that's bigger, because I can put it right here. This is where my I don't know if you could see where my stoma is, and I could put it right here, and it goes down on the pad more than if I have the bigger one. It may not press against there as tight, and to keep it, you know, I've used a lot of hernia devices and stuff like that, and girl, I think they're all crap out there, personally.
Yeah,
I don't think any of them. I'm trying to market something like this that would work, that would be more effective. I've had so many people talk to me and go, I'm wearing this and this, and this slips, and this does this, and this does that. And I explain to them why. So I like to be an advocate for that. I like being a science experiment. I always say I'm a science experiment because I'm always doing different things and discovering stuff. And that's the kind of stuff I love doing, and being able to share.
Yeah,
So yeah,
help someone. Yeah, you're gonna help someone.
because I started doing the V sit-ups, and doing that with an ostomy is, wow. You got to be real careful because you're crunching where it is, so you got to be extra careful not to protrude and make that. But if you are careful, you can develop the muscles. You just have to be slower at it. And that's where other people don't even touch it. Your doctors will say, oh, you shouldn't do that. And I'm like, why not? Because you've got to develop your core to be stronger, to do more things. If you let yourself just be weak the rest of your life, you'll end up in a wheelchair or just, you know, really not functional, and you're going to hate life more. And I just don't see that being a reason not to do anything, you know. Is it great that I have accidents? The bag will open up and I'll have an accident. Is that great? No. But am I going to let that destroy the rest of my life? No. I just deal with it, move on, and, you know, have a good life. You know, that's the way I look at it. So when you look at my pictures, there's moments where I've actually been in the gym and it's opened up and I'm like, here we go. So I go and into the bathroom, I clean up, I do a quick fix just to get, because I still have to stay in that gym. I refuse to go back home. I'm sorry, girlfriend. I'm staying in that gym. So I do a quick, you know, what I got to do, put a new, you know, bag on and stuff, and I go work out. And I finish my workout. And then I go home and I do what I got to do. But if I let this condition get to me, I would have been crying and going, well, I guess I go home. And then I'll be like, well, because I had an accident, I can't go back to the gym because it's going to happen again. So why should I even try? And you see that negative thought process. And I hate when people are in that mode, you know, and I try to get them out of it. I really do.
It is so hard. I see it so often. So many people just have depression, and you don't want to, like, you know, poke the bear, because sometimes they're just like, no, just leave me be. And it's like, but I want to help. And you just got to want it for yourself. Like for you want more, you know, you can do more. So you have that discipline and the strong mindset. And I think
Yeah.
that's remarkable, because like we've been talking about, a lot of people don't have it.
Yeah, and it's sad, you know, because I tell people, whatever you're going to do in life, don't worry about the other person. Do what's right for you. That's the key. Like, I had this one guy, it's an ostomy story, right? So he messaged me on Instagram, and he's like, you know, praising me and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And he goes, I have an ostomy too. And so I asked him a few questions. So he was very down on himself. He's like, I can't go to the gym. And I'm like, well, why not? And he's like, well, I've got an ostomy. And I go, dude, I do too. You see my pictures. What's up with that? And he goes, well, people will know. And I go, so, and if you're embarrassed, wear a sweatshirt. If you put a shirt on, no one even notices it, so who cares? So we talked for a while, and then he finally, he was very vulnerable, and he sent me a picture of himself, just the ostomy of the stomach. And he was around 300 pounds or so, very big gut, and had it on it. So I messaged him, I go, okay, you have an average ostomy. I don't understand what the issue is. And then again, he kept talking about his physique and how gross he was and this and that. And he's going on. And I go, dude, until you make a change, you're going to stay that way. So just, don't worry about the negative people, just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a turning point in our conversation. So he starts talking and he goes, my doctor says, once I lose 150 pounds, they'll reverse it. Okay? I immediately text back, pardon my French again, I go, what are you, fucking stupid?
Mm-hmm.
Do you realize I would do anything in the world to be in your shoes right now, to lose 150 pounds and to reverse the ostomy? I said, mine's the rest of my life. I only have 9 feet of intestines. You have 99% of your intestines, and all you got to do is go to the gym, lose 150 pounds. You are friggin' blessed, my man. You don't even know it. And he didn't message me back for a few minutes. He must have been crying or something, because when he got back on, he was like, I never even thought about that.
Perspective.
I urge you, please get the courage, go, wear a baggy shirt, whatever. So after that, the next day he sent me a picture and he's like, I'm at the gym. And I'm like, thank God, this is so awesome. So for a few weeks, he kept sending me pictures. I'm at the gym, I lost a few pounds. I'm at the gym, I lost a few pounds. And again, like you said, it's perspective, but he was the only one stopping himself from healing and moving on. I literally would die to be in that position that he's at, but we don't see it that way, And so that's why I'm going to use whatever time I have left on this earth with this condition to help others. That is my ultimate goal, is to inspire others. Now, I do want to build up my body and, I would love to get first call-outs. I love to win a show, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, it's really about inspiring, because I love that I got my pro card and I love all the trophies and everything I got. But the 2 trophies that I'll always hold dear to my heart are 2 inspirational awards. I wanted a Deke Warner show and a Ty Pope show.
Beautiful.
Deke's show was given to me by him, and at the Ty show, Pope show, my peers voted for me. And those 2 mean the world to me, because it wasn't something that I did, it was just who I am. Absolutely. And people can say they're getting inspirational awards. They can say, they won first place in this and this and that, and that's great. But that's saying, you touched my heart. Yeah. And that's awesome. And no one can ever take that away from me.
No, and you know what? I've seen, I don't know the exact quote, but they always say that, when you leave this earth, think about the impact. That will be what's remembered, is the impact that you had on people, not your likes and follows on Instagram. It's going to be how you touched people, like you just said, like you were rewarded for just helping, just being kind and being you.
Exactly, because it touches my heart where random people come up to me and say, I've been following you for so long and thank you. And they tell me their story, but they'll never like anything on it, on my social media or do comments. And some people go, well, that's rude. And I'm like, no, it's not. I don't care who likes my stuff as long as the message is getting out. The message is the thing. Because honestly, we can all buy likes. I can buy 1,000 now. You know what I'm saying? The number doesn't mean anything. It's the impact. That's what makes a difference.
I love that, because that just warms my heart that, I love that mindset. That's what I want to preach to people too. And then of course you made it back to the stage, exactly what you said back in 2020 when you were on the phone with your daughter. You said, I'm going to make it to that stage, and you did it. So, how did that feel? I know that you're with a new coach. Were you with him for that show?
Yes, I was with him for that show. I was elated for that show. I'll be honest with you. I went a little crazy at the end, because I'm like, my body's not coming in right. And all these things are going through my head. And then at the end, it's like, Cheryl, this is about coming back. Realize where you came from. You're about to inspire people. People don't care if your glutes are shredded or semi-shredded or whatever they look like in the back. And, and I can go into all the body parts. people really aren't caring. I mean, the judges do. I mean, that's their job. But in general, people want to see your comeback. They want to be inspired. Like, damn, look where you were, and now you're on this stage, and you look great.
Yes, you do.
And you give me hope, and that's what I want to do.
What a gorgeous suit. Look at that smile. You look so happy to be on that stage. And, you know, this is your first show with the bag. And man, girl, you rocked it. I do know that you said you kind of made it as small as you could for the show.
I was going to, but then I didn't.
Oh, okay.
So that's the one. I'm trying to find another picture I was going to try to send to you if I could find it real quick. Yeah, I'm going to send this to you via Instagram.
Okay. Yeah, bring that up.
Let me just add this. But anyway, yeah. So what was I going to say? So it was really, I don't know, odd or whatever, but when I was prepping and doing my stuff, the bag wasn't even a consideration. Yeah. I know it seems weird. Most people are like, well, it should be. And I'm like, no, I was more focused on my body parts than I was the bag. I'd be like, hey, my left glute isn't looking as good as my right. And my friends would be like, well, what about the bag? And I'm like, I can't change this. This is me now. Mm-hmm. And in that one where I've got my hand and I'm looking down and I'm smiling, I am at the happiest I've ever been because I truly do care about this. I feel so confident. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you, I am so elated. I'm just trying to find you. Come on. I'm not a good social media person, so I'm trying to see, like, where's my messages? There we go. All right. So, yeah, I got to send you this picture. Mm-hmm. And there we go. Now, this is going on my book, but I'm going to show you.
Yes, that's cool that you're doing a book. Are you still doing that documentary that I've heard you talk about before?
Yes, I have to publish it. I just got it about a week ago.
Here's that beautiful photo you just sent me. How humble and gorgeous is that?
And then let me send you this one. Put another one in here.
You know, it kind of reminds me of similar to like people with tattoos where it's like, it's a part of you. Don't be ashamed of it. You can get up on stage still and still present your hard work and muscle.
Well, that was one thing I was very excited about when I got the judges' feedback, you know, asking, you know, body and all that. Mm-hmm. And so then I said, okay, I know some things I do have to work on physique-wise. But what about presentation, showmanship, and all that? I was blown away. He's like, you're a natural on stage. You're beautiful. You're graceful. He's like, I want to see you again. He goes, I loved everything about you. You know, it was all perfect. You know, let's just fix some body parts. So that's going to be on the cover and obviously the before and after. And I think that just says 1,000 words. I mean, there's so many things, feelings, emotions that come through that. Yes. Because I was so blessed to be up there. When I walked backstage, everything changed. Like I was like nervous. It's like, all right, my body, and am I going to do this right and this? And I'm like, okay, my routine, you know, just all those things going in my head. But as soon as I went backstage, I, you know, opened the curtain and went backstage. It was like anxiety on this side and calmness on the other side. Everything just went away. And it was just like, you made it. No matter what happens, you made it. You did this. And I wish I would have had that feeling before because I made myself stressed out. But I'm just one of those people that I didn't want to disappoint my fans. I wanted to present myself the best way I could be. But thinking about it in hindsight, I already did that. I didn't have to stress myself out, you know. But we're all human. We make mistakes. And I did, you know, just being a little bit too anxious. But it was just a great experience. And I got to see two of my good friends, Natalia and Ivy.
Yeah.
Got some pictures with them and talked to them for a little bit because, I mean, we see each other at the shows, you know, we message, you know, we're friends and all that. But to stand on stage with them, you know, that was always a dream of mine, you know, to always be on stage. Now, even though we didn't get pictures on stage, we got them backstage. It's still amazing how many people get that opportunity. So not only did I have a comeback show, I got to be with two people that I love so dearly and able to get those pictures, you know? So sometimes we have an idea of how prep or how a show or how my comeback was going to be. And it changed, and I was a little upset that it changed, but in the end, it actually turned out better than I ever expected. And that's what was amazing. Oh, and I do have to share one thing about the suit.
Okay.
The suit was made by T. Marie.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm going to plug her because unfortunately she did go out of business. Okay.
Right.
However, that suit was made for 2020, for the show in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw that suit for months after the hospital. So when I came home and I was coherent, you know, I have piles and piles and piles of mail, and I saw it and I said, I can't open it. I was just so emotional.
Yeah.
So my girlfriend, Kessia, came down from California. She's a figure competitor, and she came down. I could barely walk and all that kind of stuff. So she opened the package for me and we both cried. We were like, oh my God, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And it's the only suit that I've ever had that fit like a glove. I didn't have to do anything to that sucker. It fit. So I really wanted to wear it, but in the end, I'm like, maybe I should get a new suit. And I was contemplating it because I like red and this and that. And then I talked to Stephanie and I said, girl, what do you think? And she goes, well, if you pull up the sides, it's a perfect suit. Because I always have a habit, you know, letting it go down. And I'm like, thank you. And the main reason why I always wear a suit in my progress pics is I'm always one of those people's like, I want to be show ready. So I figure I always wear a suit. And I wore this almost the whole time because it was just so sentimental to me. So I just wanted to tell that story, but it was meant for 2020. And I swore I was going to wear it again. And it fit like a glove.
Wow, I love that story. I love suit stories because, you know, most suits are custom. I'm sure that was custom for you. And to
Yes, it
have
was.
that for the year that didn't happen and you came back, like you said, it's the comeback. And that's just beautiful story. Like, it's beautiful because us girls, we love our suits. Like,
She was amazing because I told her before this happened, I told her about my chronic illness and everything that I've been through. So that was the focus of the suit. And then I explained how my previous suits, like my boobs didn't stay in certain little areas. And she's like, girl, I got you. I know exactly what you're going through. You're taller, you're this and this. She knew it all. She was just like on it. So when I tried it on, I was like, wow. I could just run around, sleep in it. You know, it was just one of those that it was so comfortable, you know. So hopefully my next suit will be that way. I was a little disappointed, you know, she's not making them anymore. So I've got to find somebody who can do as good of a job like that. And I'm sure I will.
oh, yeah.
But I just had to say, you know, about this one. She did a great job and it was so emotional wearing that. So the whole comeback was just perfect, you know, having my good friends backstage. Then Janine Linkowski came to the show with me. She was my rock for that emotionally. I can't say enough about her. She's the best. She did my posing routine. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to perform it because only the top 10 did it. I was close. I was so close, but I was only 2 away from that. So next time, definitely be doing that one. And the song that, I mean, I could say it now, but the song I chose was Dream On by Aerosmith.
Oh, man.
And every time I would practice it, I would just cry because of the part, sing with me, sing for the year, you sing for the laughter, sing for the tear. I'm sorry, that was just so perfect for that moment. And the way she choreographed it was just like, oh my God, I can't stop crying. I just can't do it. So we'll probably have me do it at some point, and we'll film it, and put it online just to show it, But for a couple of months practicing it, it was just so heartbreaking. The first couple of times I couldn't even get through the first like maybe 15 seconds. I would just sit there and cry, just because the connection to the song and to what I had been through, it's still emotional today. But
absolutely. And that's an exciting thing, because I can tell you, I don't even have to ask. I know you're going to be back on stage. You're going to go through your improvement season here, and whenever that might be, I'm sure you have ideas, and talking with your coach, I'm sure he's feeling very confident and everything with it too. And I'm very excited to see what happens. I don't know if there's anything you want to share with your future, but I'm excited.
Not yet. I'm giving it some time. I've got some ideas, but I'm definitely going to do something a little bit different than in the past, prep wise. And that's all I want to say right now, because let's say when it does happen, I want to share it, but I want to go through that experimental phase. Because I've done preps, not preps, progress seasons the same way with multiple coaches.
Okay.
And I'm finding that there's something not clicking. And I'm not saying what they're doing is wrong, but there's something in my body that's not responding as well as it should. So I'm trying to figure that out. And it's one of those things that only something's not clicking, firing, whatever. So this is the perfect time. There's no rush. I'm going to stay lean for a little while, play with a few variables, see how things go. Because I don't plan to compete, though, until the mid to end of next year. Because I want a very long and productive growth season. Because usually I only do maybe 4 months, 5 months, and then I go into prep. I went a little bit longer this time, and then do a little bit longer prep just to play with the variables, see how my body comes in. And I like to do multiple shows. I want to do some back-to-back shows. So that's where my mindset is right now.
That's great. So I know we'll be seeing more of you, and you've got your projects coming out. You said a book and the documentary. So when those come out, I'm sure you'll share them on Instagram.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And, my goal besides, of course, going back to stage is also sharing more of my story, because I want to help people as a life coach, with the mental side, with the nutrition side, because I bring a different aspect. Because of what I've been through all my life and what I've been through recently, I can relate to people more in those areas. Like, people can say, okay, eat these, you're going to lose weight, blah, blah, blah. But when you're mentally not ready, there's something holding you back. And that's where I come in, and so those are the areas that I really want to focus on, sharing my experiences and inspiring and, helping out in that way. So you'll see a lot of me with that.
Well, I hope you're making plans to go to the Olympia, whether you're on the stage or off.
I hope I get on the stage, but yes, I am. My girl Ivy made it. She won the Toronto Pro Show. Yeah. So I told her, if you make it, you're giving me a reason to go to Vegas. So in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to get my tickets. So there's no backing out. The hotel, I'm doing it early. I'm just getting it all done out of the way.
Yeah, me too, girl. So I don't know if I'll see you sooner, but I hope to meet you there, because it's going to be a fun time.
Oh, definitely. I can't. So I'm glad that you're going then. Awesome.
Definitely. Is there anything else that you would like to share? I know your Instagram is IFBB Cheryl Mears, right? Is that
Mears? Yeah, Mears.
Mears. Okay.
Yeah.
Mears. Okay, and people can check you out there. Is there anything else you want to share?
No, not a quick share. I'm just, really, because I got so much, I could talk about and everything, but I'm just really grateful that people follow me, because even though I'm a bodybuilder, my page isn't the typical bodybuilder. Like you look at bodybuilder sites and they've got a typical focus. Mine is more on inspiring through bodybuilding. So it's a little bit of a different twist. So I've got a little bit of hand in bodybuilding. I got a little hand in inspiration and stuff like that. So the medical side, the chronic illness, the warrior. So it's so encompassing. And I love it. And so if you're following me and you're like, man, she's talking more about than just bodybuilding, that's the reason why. I just want to inspire through bodybuilding. And again, I'm not preaching it because I want one of the promoters to go, oh wow, we're going to give her first place. But seriously, I really believe in the sport and all the disciplines that it has. And I could talk for hours of why it is such a good sport. And I really get mad when people put it down, because there's bad in everything. You can look at any industry and there's going to be negativity, and that's just life. Even your family, you got those people that you just want to get rid of, I mean, that's just normal. You want to get rid of them. And so in bodybuilding, you're going to have a few of those people. That's just life. But in general, it's a great sport. We've got great people in there, great discipline. We provide such a great service, in my opinion. And when outsiders like knock it down and they say negative things, such stupidity on their mind, you know what I'm saying? Things they have no clue about. It just makes me mad, because they just don't know what they're missing. Like, this is off tangent, but anyway, it's about eating. I'm sorry, I have to say this, okay? So for 30 some odd years, I've had ulcerative chronic colitis. That's part of my condition that I have. So anytime I'd be at whatever, I can't eat most of the foods because it would bother me, okay? So everyone would be like, oh, you can have just a little of this, that won't hurt you, do this or that. Everyone has their opinions, of what I can do. Like, you understand a chronic illness, right? So now I get into bodybuilding. It's been, 6 years, right? So same function, same people. And they'd be like, oh, would you like a slice of birthday cake? And I'm like, no. And they go, oh, that's right, you're in bodybuilding, you got to watch what you eat. What? Exactly. Thank you. Now you get it. It is so stupid.
Thanks, man. Like, it's just like,
I know. All these years I have a chronic illness, and you try to diagnose me like, oh man, you should eat cake. What's wrong with you? You're not into me. But when I have I'm a bodybuilder now, then it's okay that I don't eat cake. I say the same thing, but now your mindset is different. So I know it doesn't directly relate to that, but I had to share that story because it is the stupidest mindset that I've ever heard of in my life.
Oh yeah. No, and I mean, as bodybuilders, we all hear it, but for you, in your case, it's just like,
yeah,
I understand though, like, really?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you inspire me. Thank you so much for coming on, because like I said, this is how I found you, was through a podcast, I guess you could call that, with Stephanie. And
Exactly.
I hope that my podcast can bring some more followers to you and they can ask and reach out, because I've talked to you outside of this and I know that you are friendly and you're open to questions. And that's what I want to do. I just want to share the sport and how inspiring it really is, because I think you said a lot of things that even outside of fitness, like that person that you helped that was like 300 pounds or whatever, like those people can learn something too. It doesn't have to be just a bodybuilder.
See, those are the kind of things that I want to go to. I like going to local events, bodybuilding, they'll have posing clinics and things of that nature. And not because I want to pose and I think I can make you the best poser. No, they've got experts there. But if there's anything else that I can help with, that's why I want to be there, because there's so much to bodybuilding. When you first get into it, you think it's just the food and going to the gym, but the mental side of it, dealing with the everyday, how do you incorporate this into your life and your loved ones and all that kind of stuff. It is just hard, and there's really nobody out there to prepare you for that. So that's the kind of things that I like talking about, the real world stuff. Because I do, like I said, I do believe in the sport, and I'd love for people to stay with it. I see newcomers come into the gym. I've got a kid, well, I call him a kid. He's like 25 in the gym, and he's just learning the equipment. And every time I see him, I'm like, get over here. And I'm like, you need to do it this way. And he accepts, the suggestions I'm giving to him. Normally, I don't interrupt people. I let them do the wrong things if that's what they're going to do. But there's certain people that that are really trying hard, and with the right guidance, they're going to take off. And this kid is one of them. So that's why I don't mind giving my time to people like that, because I love seeing people flourish and grow and so on.
That's what's great about being a pro, is that we get to set the example, and it feels good to give back to the sport. Because as a pro, we need to be those people,
Exactly. Well, I want to thank you for having me on, and we should definitely do another one
Sure.
because I've got more angles to talk about. But I love doing these and talking, and who knows, maybe we could do a live where people will come on and ask questions, and things of that nature at some point. But I really do appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much. And I'm going to post this, and
Mhm.
seriously, thank you. I can just keep saying that, but I want to wish you luck and happy holidays and happy new year. I'm excited for what's to come.
Definitely.
All right.
All
Well, have
right,
a
girl.
great night. Thank you.
All right, we'll talk soon.
Okay. Bye.